Let's jump right in. Picture a really deeply charged moment. You've got two bodies, crouched low to the earth, perfectly still. It's the very instant before a game begins. Now, to the untrained eye, nothing's happened yet. But look closer. Their breathing is adjusting, their ears are opening to the rhythm, and their bodies are basically transforming into a silent question directed right at each other. In this explainer, we're going to explore a profoundly deep, embodied practice. Okay, let's dive into this with a foundational proverb attributed to the masters of the Angolero tradition. It goes, Capoeira Angola is slow, but not sluggish. You know, when most of us hear capoeira, we instantly picture a highly aerobic acrobatic dance, or maybe a competitive martial sport. But Capoeira Angola, it requires us to reframe that entirely. It is a contemplative path, where the goal isn't to find stillness of the body, but rather absolute stillness within movement.
So, here is our roadmap. We'll start with the silent rada, trace the roots of Capoeira Angola, and examine the physical mechanics in the anchor in motion. Then we'll dive right into the inner game, and finally, wrap up with everyday contemplative practices.
All right, section 1, the silent rota. So that silent, heavily charged moment we just talked about, that happens at the pé do brimbau, literally the foot of the primary musical instrument. The body is coiled with this total, absolute readiness. Now, in the West, we're super heavily conditioned to believe meditation must be seated, eyes closed, and entirely motionless, right? But Capoeira Angola offers a genuinely Afro-diasporic and Brazilian contemplative path that totally challenges this idea. Here, meditation isn't motionless, it's crouched, it's swaying, and it is intensely physically attentive. Moving on to section 2, roots of Capoeira Angola. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the visual distinction between the two major styles. Before we can borrow the tools of this practice, we have to honor the builders, enslaved Africans and their descendants in Brazil. On the right, you see Capoeira Regional. Codified by Mestre Bimba, this is the faster, upright, highly athletic style you've probably seen in pop culture. But on the left, we have Capoeira Angola, codified by Mestre Pastinha. This style consciously preserves a lower, much slower game. Pastinha insisted on treating this not just as a sport, but as a deep philosophy of life, requiring incredible, real-time strategy. And this philosophy, it comes to life inside the rota. Now, this ritualistic circle is absolutely not a sports ring. To the masters, it's a sacred microcosm representing the entire world, a space with literally no beginning, no end, and zero hierarchy. Accompanied by this incredible orchestra of birimbaus, the very structure of this space demands sustained presence. You aren't in there to just throw punches. You are there to observe, to listen, and to participate in a deeply physical, sacred dialogue. Section 3, the anchor in motion. At the absolute foundation of this practice is a continuous, rhythmic, swaying movement known as the ginga. We can think of this as embodied mindfulness. It's a cognitive state where physical movement actually serves as the primary anchor for sustaining your attention. Think about it like this. In Zen meditation, your anchor is your breath. But in Capoeira Angola, your anchor is the ginga. Because the style is so much slower, it actually demands agonizingly fine motor control. You aren't just moving to pass the time, you're literally occupying time with absolute unbroken attention. Maintaining that kind of state requires 3 core elements of presence. First up is functional breathing. That means maintaining a smooth flow of air even under immense physical pressure to keep your nervous system regulated. Second, a peripheral gaze. Listen, if you fixate only on your partner's feet, you're going to get hit. You have to cultivate a panoramic vision, taking in their whole body at once. And third, physical grounding. Playing this low to the earth actually reintroduces your adult body to a deeply comfortable sense of gravitational security, something modern life pretty much erases from our day-to-day experience. Which brings us to section 4, the inner game. So we are moving from the solo physical experience right into the relational magic of the art. The masters distinguish between the outward exhibition and the jogo de dentro, the inner game, which is played almost glued to your partner. And at the heart of this incredibly close quarters dialogue is a concept that gets frequently misunderstood. So I have to ask, what is true malicia? Because it's often, frankly, poorly translated as just simple trickery or street smarts. But it's so much more than that. So the crucial point is that within the contemplative lens of this tradition, true malicia is actually high-level situational and bodily intelligence applied in real time. It is the ultimate state of active mindfulness. To have militia, you must be completely 100% available to read the context, the music, and the subtle intentions of your partner. If you're anxious, distracted, or, obsessed with winning, you instantly lose that fine reading ability that militia absolutely demands. Because traditional Capoeira Angola doesn't have a formal victory or defeat, your partner acts as a flawless mirror. The way you react instantly exposes your internal emotional state. If you're rushing internally, it shows up as visible agitation. If you're anxious, your body becomes noticeably stiff. If your ego is flaring up, it manifests as using unnecessary force. Inside the rada, it is literally impossible to lie to yourself for very long. Your partner will show you exactly where your mind is at. Section 5. Everyday contemplative practices. Let's move to and see how this builds into highly actionable steps for our daily routines. While traditional group practice under a master is the essential core of this art, we can absolutely extract profound cognitive tools from it. 1. Breathe at the foot of the barren ball. Before starting any task, take a moment of deliberate pause. 2. Try a 10-minute ginga. Stand and slowly shift your weight, using this movement as an anchor for a wandering mind. 3. Cultivate a wide gaze. Just soften your visual focus to instantly drop the tension in your neck and shoulders. 4. Listen to the silence. Try anticipating the very moment before a sound occurs. And 5. Play the inner game. At the end of the day, reflect on moments where you used unnecessary force or ego, and do it without judgment. Now, it's absolutely crucial to offer a respectful caveat here. Doing a wide gaze at your office desk does not make you a capoeirista. These tools are bridges of attention. We're honoring the deep wisdom of this tradition, but solo exercises are in no way substitutes for the community, the Black ancestry, the music, and the direct personal guidance of a Capoeira Angola master. We draw inspiration for sure, but without ever replacing the roots. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. How does your playing partner in life, whether that's a colleague, a spouse, or just a really challenging situation, how do they reflect your own ego? And more importantly, where can you apply mindful, deliberate movement today? Because Capoeira Angola teaches us that meditation doesn't require us to freeze. It simply requires us to be entirely, beautifully present in our own motion. Thank you so much for exploring this with me.